At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. And Matt?
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Show. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. If you're working today, if you had the day off, enjoy the holiday. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to all of you. Hopefully all take some time and reflect and certainly celebrate the man who's so impactful to this nation and to the world. So a happy MLK Day to everybody. If you had the day off, hope you enjoyed it. Most people back at school, at work, and everything tomorrow. But we are here today because, man, it is a nonstop, jam-packed day and an ever-flowing news cycle as we continue to follow it. Over the weekend, LSU did add a couple of other prospects for 2026. One transfer and one incoming freshman. Tigers have really loaded up on the offensive side of the ball. On Saturday, LSU added a running back transfer from UCF. Stacey Gage. Interesting to read up on Stacey Gage because admittedly, whenever I saw Gage posted on his Twitter a photo of he and Lane Kiffin announcing his commitment, I didn't know really who Stacey Gage was. But one thing I was told late in the week last week was that all of the coaches, the charge they were given at the end of this portal cycle from Kiffin and Billy Glasscock was go back through everything. Go through every single player they scouted, evaluated, and find a sleeper. Who did we miss? Did we miss anybody? And you can tell how they've built this portal class. You've got your top-tier guys. You get the number one player in the portal, in Sam Leavitt. And you've got a former five-star in Jordan Ross and a former five-star in Trey Wilson from Florida. I mean, you've got dudes in this class. Ty Benefield, number one safety. I mean, you got dudes. But they also have guys like Jaquan Sprinkle, who's a 2-year starter at NC Central in the FCS there in the MEAC, who they scouted and said, I like that guy. Let's get him. And guys with multiple years of eligibility. So Gage is one of those that's interesting because he hasn't had a very productive statistical career at UCF. 2 seasons. But he's 5'11", 210. And in 2 seasons, he played 11 games with just 13 rushing attempts. So he's got 3 years of eligibility remaining. So you can see how here they're looking and saying, all right, this is a guy who maybe with all of the investment LSU's made at the running back spot already with Harlan Berry, bringing back Caden Durham, and now 3 players via the portal at the running back spot, you could look at how he may develop if you really like the size and the skill set. But one of the things that I always talk about, and if you're familiar with the show, you know I say this often, I'm less concerned with the star rating or the ranking than I am with who recruited this guy. And if you go look at Stacey Gage's profile as a high school recruit, he was a 3-star and he was ranked number 544 nationally. So it was the 41st best running back in the composite. But when you look at his offer list, my goodness, is this impressive. I mean, it's everybody. I mean, he picked UCF, but Florida, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Florida State, Georgia, Auburn, Georgia Tech, Miami, Penn State, Alabama, Oregon, Texas, LSU, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Michigan, Texas A&M, Southern Cal, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Iowa, Purdue, Arkansas, and there's a dozen more. Everybody was in on this kid. So there has to be something there that all these schools liked in Stacey Gage. So maybe not someone who you would anticipate has a big impact in year one at LSU, but with 3 years of eligibility remaining, maybe someone who eventually does have a really big impact on this team. Now, the other addition was interesting because you just don't see a real heavy emphasis on the high school ranks, and they're just most of the elite level prospects sign in the December signing period. So it's rare that you see a player last until February, at least a player that a school like LSU is going to be interested in. Well, that's what happened here with Jackson Williams. And LSU got Jackson Williams on campus for a visit this weekend. So he took his official visit on Saturday, and we reported it over at LouisianaSports.net. Jackson Williams, Sam Spiegelman, I think, was the first to have it over at On 3. But Jackson Williams from Shaw in New Orleans picked LSU, committed for the class of 2026. So he'll sign in the February signing period. And this is a 3-star safety, 6'2", 180, again, out of Shaw in New Orleans. At different points, he'd been committed to Tulane and Washington State, but LSU scouted him. The new staff evaluated him. They liked him. They offered him, got him for a visit, and he committed. So he's the 16th member now of the 2026 high school signing class. They added, remember, it was 14 in December, subsequently added another defensive back, and now adding Jackson Williams as well. So they're up to 16 in the high school class. And I kind of look at it and go, man, if Blake Baker and Corey Raymond and Jake Olson, like, they scout these guys and they like them and they want to offer them, I'm good with it. And sometimes this is the type of prospect, if it's a kid from Louisiana who loves Louisiana, loves LSU, dreamed of wearing that uniform, and you can get them on campus and you like the skill set and think they could develop, and there's a likelihood of keeping them for multiple years instead of recruiting the high 4-star that sits as a freshman, doesn't like the fact that he's sitting behind portal guys and then leaves. This is one of those guys who maybe says, I'm going to stay for 3 years at LSU and wait my turn to be an impact guy because I want to be an impact guy at LSU. That could end up being part of the advantage that LSU could have. Again, so one to file away. So a couple of other players that LSU has added now for the class of 2026. And when you go look, we have the roster tracker, again, up at LouisianaSports.net. If you haven't seen it yet, go to LouisianaSports.net, always free. Remember, no paywall, no article limits, nothing like that. Go to LouisianaSports.net. You'll see right there on the homepage the roster tracker, and we have everything there from the players that have announced they're staying. By the way, Keelan Moses, they formally announced Keelan Moses today as staying. The 35 players entering the portal and the 39 additions via the portal. They're all there at the website. So you got 39 portal additions, and they're pushing still for 2 more. And Jordan Seaton and Prince Willimon Mielen. Now 16 high school ads as well, and then the players that you have returning or have announced that they are returning. All right, it's after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New year, new vehicle, get a deal at South Point Volkswagen. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. You can always check them out online. Shop the inventory online at southpointvw.com. How about $3,000 off or 2.9% APR for 60 months for 2026 Atlas? 2026 Taos, deeply discounted as well. 3.9% APR or a $500 customer bonus. Bottom line is, when you move more Volkswagens than any other Volkswagen dealer in the state, you have better inventory and you can offer better deals. So even if you don't live in Baton Rouge, it may be worth giving South Point Volkswagen a call, because wouldn't it be worth a drive to Baton Rouge if they're going to give you the best deal? Check them out online at southpointvw.com. Search the inventory. Work out your financing. It's all there for you at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Well, it is after further review. Thanks for hanging out. We're counting down to the national championship game, about an hour and a half away from kickoff of Indiana and Miami. Jimmy will be here in just a little bit for Otter Locks. That line has come down. It was Indiana 8.5. Last I checked, it was 7.5. So with that line movement, does that affect the way that the Otter feels about the game? We'll get his pick coming up here in about 30 minutes from right now. Let me knock out a break. When we come back, maybe the question I've been asked most often, or two questions, is number one, how is LSU paying for all of this? Meaning the transfer portal class. And number two, does this change the year one expectations for Lane Kiffin? I want to answer those two questions when we come back. It's AFR.
After further review.
It's always brought to you by the Watermark and the Renaissance. Two amazing hotel properties, Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Renaissance, beautiful, sprawling hotel in the area they call Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet near I-10. It's across from the Mall of Louisiana and Perkins Row. When you walk into Renaissance Baton Rouge, you immediately understand all the subtleties that make that Renaissance unique, truly unique, meaning like only one. Because if you go into any Renaissance property around the country, every single Renaissance hotel is designed specifically for that market. So like the sculpture behind the desk at Renaissance Baton Rouge is a 2-scale model of the Mississippi River. You look at the carpet, the pattern are crab traps. The fixtures and the artwork on the light fixtures are mimicking pelican eggs hatching. Check it out. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
We'll get your pick on the national championship game in about 30 minutes from right now. A little more than about an hour and a half from kickoff with Indiana and Miami. College football season will come to an end tonight. Meanwhile, in Baton Rouge, the season has been over since late December. Technically over since late December. It was over well before that. But the interest clearly is what's happening away from the field in this transfer portal cycle as Lane Kiffin is putting the finishing touches on his first year's roster. And I think it is absolutely fair to say that this roster and what LSU's been able to do should alter expectations if you were tempering them year one. And I've used many times the example of the team that's going to play tonight, Indiana, as a case in point of why there is no longer any type of grace period. There is no more expectation of a multi-year rebuild. Kurt Cignetti stepped into quite literally the program that had lost more games than any other in the history of the sport. And in his first year, went 11-1 and made the playoff. In his second year, they're undefeated, number one in the country, and a touchdown favorite in the national championship game. It can be done in a blink if you evaluate properly and put the right roster together and then go coach them up. When you look at what LSU has done in this portal cycle, this was always the intention. It was never an idea that Kiffin was going to dip his toe in the water. This wasn't a zero entry pool scenario where you go in from your ankles to your shins to your knees to your thighs to your waist to your chest to, okay, then you're all the way in the deep end. No. This was, hey man, get on the diving board and cannonball into the deep end. They gave him $91 million. When it looked like they weren't going to keep Charlie Weiss, they bumped into 2.5 per year with a clause, a look-back clause, to make sure that he remains the highest paid offensive coordinator in the SEC. They kept Blake Baker from taking the head coaching job at his alma mater, paying him $3 million a year. They focused on retaining 6 key players, and they kept all of them. Weeks, Trey'Dez Green, DJ Pickett, Harlem Berry, Braylon Moore, PJ Woodland, kept all of them. And then they went in the portal with an idea of what they wanted to do in this portal cycle, and they have completely obliterated the idea that they had, which was go probably sign 5 or so defensive players, address the defensive line, get a safety. Offensively, you needed to remake your offensive line room, your receiver room, got to get a quarterback. all they've done, and they were planning to land somewhere around 30 players. They're at 39 and still trying to add 2 more, which would both be 7-figure adds. Like, what they have built here, there is no tempering expectations. You sign the number 1 quarterback in the transfer portal, and then a 5-star to back him up. Oh, and then the FCS guy that everybody wanted too. Like, just look on down the list of what they've been able to add. No, there is no tempering expectations. The expectation is you're going to go make the playoff year 1. And hopefully you get a good draw, you coach them up, you get on a roll, you have some good fortune and good health, and you go win a national championship. Like, that's the expectation. Another question a lot of people have is, okay, well, like, how are they paying for this? And that's a bit more complex. And I'll explain as best I can based on what I know right now, with the asterisk in the footnote to say, like, this is subject to change as I learn more. And I'm certain that when they're done, I'll be able to have more conversations to learn more. But while they're in it, naturally, there's still negotiations with agents. They're trying to win these battles for players against other schools that are negotiating against them and trying to recruit these players as well. So there's some things that just aren't going to be disclosed yet, but will in time. But there's a couple of reasons why LSU was in a position to do what they're doing. And I know over the weekend, Matt Bowers, who I think many people know is an auto dealer, of Matt Bowers, auto dealer. He's an Ole Miss alum. He's a big Ole Miss booster, but has business interests here in Louisiana. And Matt Bowers over the weekend put out a tweet where he surmised that LSU was going to spend $40 million on this roster. Now, it's saying to be the most expensive roster in college football history. I don't know if that part is true. I don't know if either part is true, if they get to 40 or if it's the most expensive roster, because we've heard things of like what Ohio State and Texas have spent in the past on rosters, and I just don't know. Like, I haven't seen a ledger to know in the collective era, what did Ohio State spend on their roster that won the national championship? You know, what did Texas spend last year? You know, with all the numbers that are reported there for Arch, I don't know. I don't have those answers. I try to find as best I can, but what did Ole Miss spend 2 years ago? The 2024 Ole Miss roster, when they were all in to try to win a championship behind Jackson Dart, and they went 9-3. I don't know the answer. The question of, like, could LSU approach $40 million on this roster, I think is plausible. But here, I don't know if they will, but I think it is plausible. Remember that you got to go back with me, okay? You have to go back to a time that's painful for LSU fans, but I'll explain it how it sets the dominoes in motion. Go back to Bryce Underwood flipping. Bryce Underwood flips, and remember what happened. All of a sudden, LSU boosters, donors recognized, hey, we have got to be more serious about funding the collective. Because I told you for years that LSU was behind, and a lot of LSU fans didn't like hearing that, but you came to realize that it was true. They were behind in funding their collective. Brian Kelly's the 2024 roster, LSU spent $5.5 million on that entire football roster. Okay? You want to know why it looked the way it did? That's why. Well, all of a sudden they fund the roster, they fund the collective, they become very liquid. And last year in the portal cycle, because they had so much liquidity, they were able to front load all those contracts. You've heard me say that before. Effectively, they were able to pay those guys with money out of the collective before rev share went into place. Because when rev share went into place July 1, you couldn't just pay guys out of the collective anymore. So all the powder they had to get rid of it. So they basically funded that roster before they had to touch their rev share money. So for fiscal 25-26, right, July 1 to June 30, LSU and every school has $20.5 million to spend across all their teams. Generally, most teams are allocating 75% of those funds to football, meaning roughly $15 million. LSU didn't have to spend the full $15 million of its rev share money for the 2025 football team because they were so liquid last year in the portal cycle. It's not to say they have the entire $15 million. I think the number's actually just below 15, but they didn't have the entire, they had to touch some of it, but they didn't have to spend all of it. So they went into this portal cycle with a very healthy chunk of money to spend right now in this portal cycle, knowing as well on July 1, it resets and you get a new $15 million. Now, you can't roll the money over, so you got to spend it. But the point being, let's say another team had to spend their rev share money on this year's football team, the 25 football team. Well, right now, they don't have money that they can give players as a signing bonus or an advance or whatever. LSU can say, okay, I'm going to use a round number. Let's say there's a player that they've agreed to, and it's a $100,000 deal. Well, they could take $50K out of the rev share for 2025, give it to him right now, and then pay another $50K after July 1 when the rev share starts over. So you're not combining, you're not rolling over, you're just giving this player payments that are spread out over the course of the two different rev shares. So in theory, LSU could have, the number isn't 30, but a very healthy number approaching 30 million if they want to use the remaining 25 rev share or for the 25 season and the rev share that starts over in 26. And then on top of that, they know they've got true third-party NIL deals because, as we've explained many times here, LSU, through the NILSU Max program, has done an exceptional job of building out those systems to have true third-party NIL deals with its partners. Like, I don't think it's any coincidence whatsoever that when Lane Kiffin is posing on the field with the number one offensive tackle in the transfer portal and the highest ranked available player, Jordan Seaton, he's there in Tiger Stadium, and Lane Kiffin is wearing an Our Lady of the Lake hat. Yes, Lane Kiffin, or yes, Our Lady of the Lake is a sponsor of the show, and I'm proud to be partnered with them and endorse them, but they are a championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Go look at that photo that they posted. Lane Kiffin's wearing an Our Lady of the Lake hat. He also, on his Instagram, posted a photo solo of the Our Lady of the Lake hat. I don't think that's any coincidence whatsoever. LSU has great partners with which they have been able to do a lot of true third-party NIL deals. So, going into a lot of these negotiations, be it Our Lady of the Lake or Raising Cane's or Nike or whomever, they've got a lot of those deals ready with money already committed and allocated through NILSU Max to do deals as NILSU Max sees fit with these student athletes. So while you can't put it in writing what third-party NIL deal you're going to give these players, you could have these conversations to say, we feel really confident based on what we can do X. So all that to say, they have done a remarkable job of pulling the resources available, plus using the LSU brand and Lane Kiffin and Tiger Stadium and everything to put together this transfer portal class. The big and very legitimate question is, when you go invest as much financially as you have in this roster, which is an epic haul, does it affect your ability to do it again next year? Because the idea of perpetually front-loading, that's probably out the window with the money you've spent on this roster. So what do you do next January? I don't know. And my guess is they got a plan, but some of that plan is probably, you know what? We're going to try to win a championship now, and we'll figure out next January. And over the weekend, I'm not sure if you saw it, but Ross Dellinger had a piece where Dan Radakovich, who's the AD at Miami, remember Dan Radakovich used to be at LSU, is lobbying to eliminate the rev share cap. Don't cap it at 20.5. We need more. Let us spend whatever we want. Well, if that happens, then this conversation is moot. So you went all in to win now, and you're never going to feel the effects of it down the road. It's a fascinating time. And I think if you're an LSU fan, you should probably be most encouraged by is you have a front office that is pretty brilliant. The staff at using the process they do to evaluate talent and find value. I'll keep going back to it, but like look at guys like Jaquan Sprinkle and Jacoby Jones, the two offensive linemen they got from NC Central and from Co-Lin, the junior college. Those are dudes that have played a ton of football, fit the mold, and check the boxes of what they like in their evaluation that they, I'm sure, got at a bargain, that they think can be starters for them. Okay, awesome. They're great at evaluating. They've proven that. And Billy Glasscock is the guy that's managed the cap, and he's clearly navigated this brilliantly based on what they've been able to bring in already with two gigantic fish still out there in Jordan Seaton and Prince Willem Onmielen. And if they land both of those guys, you will be talking about a portal class that could be so far and away the best portal class that we've ever seen and may ever see again. Not just at LSU, but anywhere. Because you're just not going to see a lot of teams have to add 40 players via the portal that add this caliber of player, because there's just not a lot of programs that are going to be uniquely positioned with the type of capital LSU had and the advance they had working through true third-party NIL that would put them in a position where they have a new coach and need to go sign 40 guys, that it would work this way. I mean, Oklahoma State's signing 40 guys, Penn State's signing 40 guys, but they're basically just signing the North Texas and Iowa State rosters respectively. They ain't signing portal classes like LSU is right now. Maybe this has an effect on the 2027 roster and their ability to build a 2027 roster. See, maybe not. Maybe one of the great benefits of all of the depth they've built with guys with multiple years of eligibility remaining is, while it's going to cost you right now on the front end, maybe you alleviate a bit on the back end by not having to go sign 40 guys next year if you're able to retain a lot of these guys that you brought in for depth. So all that'll play out in time, but hopefully that sheds a little bit of light on how they've been able to pull this portal class together. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll give you a preview of the national championship game as we're about an hour away from kickoff. Jim, you'll be here in 15 minutes for Otterlocks. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
GLO, glowresources.com. They are complete employer solutions. Glow Resources, glowresources.com. Permanent employment solutions as well. This is not a temp staffing agency. And I want to remind you that if you have really struggled hiring and turnover is costing you productivity, you need a permanent solution. Well, how do you do that? Glow Resources. That's how. Over the course of a day, they conduct about 50 interviews, which means over the course of a year, they conduct some 15,000 interviews at Glow Resources, meaning they know the right questions to ask to avoid the potential pitfalls with employees that lead to the lack of productivity and turnover. It's Glow Resources. Have a phone conversation. Skilled blue-collar labor, their professional placement division can help with any white-collar job. They have a 96% success rate. 96% of the employees they find for your business become a permanent solution. GLO, glowresources.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
So I tweeted out about an hour ago when I got word that Jordan Seaton was still on his visit. There's a guy. This is the funniest thing that's happened to my Twitter during all of this this portal stuff, because all the different fan bases that are that their teams are vying for prospects, and also everyone, and I'm certainly respectful of this. Everybody's looking for information. So Oregon fans who thought Jordan Seaton was going there today are looking at a lot of Baton Rouge media for updates on Seaton's visit or whatever. So about an hour ago, I got word that Seaton was still on his LSU visit. He's physically in the LSU football operations building. Confirmed. And so I tweeted, source confirms that Seaton is still on his LSU visit, didn't leave for Oregon Monday morning. Tigers push for his commitment. A guy named Adam Bradford, his profile says that he's his Go Ducks is an Oregon guy. He responds to my tweet. He puts, "Is this true?" at Oregon updates. Like, why are you asking the Oregon updates guy? He's physically, as of an hour ago, physically in the LSU football operations building.
We're going to need to start taking like ransom style photos where they're just holding a newspaper from the day, like where they are and holding a newspaper from the day.
Jordan Seaton did not get on a plane. I can guarantee you this much. He is not in Eugene, Oregon. Even if he left football operations the minute I tweeted that and got on a plane, he would still not be in Eugene. He'd have to be on the freaking Concorde jet to be that. I still don't know if he'd be there. Could you get there in an hour? Maybe. I don't know. But LSU's pushing for his commitment. We'll see if they can get it. Every time I look up at ESPN, they had the countdown clock going a little bit ago. But we're about a little over an hour away from kickoff. Miami and Indiana in the national championship game. The spread is the line's moved a good bit. It was interesting. John Murray is the Las Vegas bookmaker at the Westgate Superbook, and he said sharp money showed up late for Miami. He said the game would have been nowhere near this number all season, which is pretty interesting. And actually Miami likely would have been favored for most of the year. The look-ahead line in the semis would have had the Hoosiers as a 5.5-point favorite over Miami, but the fact that Indiana blew the doors off of Oregon caused the number to swell to 8.5. Well, now, as of this very moment over at DraftKings, they've got the number at, of course, the number is 7.5 right now, still at DraftKings. So we'll see if that has any more movement between now and kickoff. But Indiana's favored by 7.5 in the game. The total's 46.5. I think a lot of sharp money, and we'll get Jimmy's thoughts on this here in less than 10 minutes, but they're looking at it going, okay, well, all season Miami would have been favored. Look ahead line before the semis was 5.5, so they're looking for value. It's over the key number of 7 at 7.5 if you're looking to bet it. It's just amazing. Indiana, before the season, you could have got them at 200-1 to win the national championship. Miami, just ahead of the playoff selection, not at the beginning of the season, like on Sunday, right before the playoff selection committee announced the field, you could have gotten Miami at 100-1 because they weren't even thought. So they were underdogs just to even get in the field. And here they are, an hour and 11 minutes, 1 hour, 11 minutes, 35 seconds away from playing for a national championship. So we'll get Jimmy's thoughts on Indiana and Miami. I've been riding with Indiana ever since their first win against Oregon. You're probably sick of hearing me say it. I was like many of you. I looked at Indiana a year ago. They went 11-1. They played two ranked teams, got their ass kicked by both of them. Ohio State in the regular season, Notre Dame in the playoff. Came into this season, I thought the same thing. Weak schedule. Remember one of the storylines earlier this year with Indiana when they canceled a future series with Virginia to be able to schedule a directional state U? Like, because the committee told them last year, just go 11-1. Doesn't matter who you play, who you beat. Just go 11-1. So I looked at Indiana and went, they're not that good. They're just beating up on bad teams. And then I watched them play Oregon in that game at Autzen in Eugene. A tough place to play, a very good Oregon team. And the final score was 30-20. But Oregon got a late pick six, which made that thing closer than it really was. And that really, if you watch the game, like watching the Miami Ole Miss game, you realize Miami physically dominated that game. They just came up short at the line of scrimmage or in the red zone in times. Turnovers hurt them. Ole Miss, Kewan Lacey, it's the 75-yarder. It was just a game that watching it, you're wondering, how is this even close? That's how it felt watching Oregon or Indiana against Oregon the first time. And I went, oh, no. Like they're good. Like they're championship good. And so taking Indiana against Alabama was the easiest money that I made all year because people just looked at the logo. And I think that happened in the game against Oregon in the semis as well. People just looked at the logo. I think finally people are not looking at the logo anymore. Indiana is great on both lines of scrimmage. They got the better quarterback. I believe they have NFL athletes. I don't believe they do. They have NFL athletes at receiver. The one thing where I kind of wonder with Indiana in this game is I think Indiana in the secondary is susceptible. So they count on their defensive line to create pressure to make it harder on an opposing quarterback. So if Indiana's defensive line and defensive front seven can make hay against that really good Miami offensive line, then they can pressure Carson Beck into mistakes, and that's the opportunity really for Indiana to seize control of this game. But if Miami's offensive line can pave the way for a running game and protect Carson Beck, it sounds obvious, there's going to be plays to be made against the Indiana secondary. That's where, if there is a weakness, where they have it. But if Indiana can go play this game straight up, the line of scrimmage, I think Indiana wins, and I think Indiana covers and wins the national championship, which what a time to be alive that we're talking about the Indiana Hoosiers as a touchdown favorite in the national championship game against Miami in football. Remarkable. See how it goes. Jimmy will be here in a minute, give you a pick on the game. I remember we're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. Name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they'll keep you coming back year after year after year after year because they treat you like family. It is Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. Schedule your service online. You can shop tires online. You can see all the dealer specials online at ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. You can go hit the promotions tab there on the homepage, and it'll list all the specials. And it'll kind of explain how they pair the manufacturer's offer with their in-house offer to give you the best price on tires, on the best tires on the road. So before you hit the road for that trip, make sure that you have new tires on your vehicle. Make sure that if you need an oil change, whatever it is done to your vehicle, you bring it to Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com, Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. All right, it is After Further Review. Been a really good show. If you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. So book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. We're giving the latest on Jordan Seaton, Prince Willimon Mielen. We had LSU wide receiver Jackson Harris, the Hawaii transfer. He was with us last hour, as was Bill Bender from Miami. Bill Bender, the Sporting News. So it's been a great show. Tons of college football, wall to wall. I'm glad you're hanging out with us here on this Monday, on this federal holiday, as we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's knock out our final break of the show. Come back. Jimmy will be here to give us a pick on the national championship game. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
If you're thinking about selling your home, new year, new home, maybe new year and you're moving, you're being relocated, good time for kids to start a new school, you need Darren James. First of all, you need to recognize that you need a realtor. 73% of people that list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor. That is fact. That's not made up. That's not my opinion. That is fact. And it's a lot of different reasons. Maybe you don't know how to price your home. Maybe you don't know. Maybe the paperwork's overwhelming. Maybe you just don't have time to be there for showings. Save yourself the time and the money. Darren James is going to get your home sold fast for the most amount of money. He guarantees it. It's his guaranteed sale program. Sit down with Darren. He'll agree to a price and a deadline. If he doesn't sell your home at that price by that deadline, he'll have your home bought with cash, or he will sell it absolutely free. So what do you have to lose? Call Darren James. Get your home sold. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on this Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters, too. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Big shout out to Brandon, Holly, and the gang. We always appreciate them sponsoring our Monday shows all throughout the year. You can give me my music, by the way. We're waiting on Jimmy, having issues with the phone. See if we can get connected with him here in just a quick second.
At all positions.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear Kurt Cignetti.
They have great team speed. They have really good size. The two ends are, game changers. The inside guys are really good. They got depth there, too. The linebackers run and hit. Offensively, the line's big. The starting running back is big, running really well. The receiving core is deep and athletic, and number 10, obviously, is an unbelievable weapon. And they're playing at home, and they didn't have to travel. So I think the 8.5-point spread's a setup.
I love that guy. All right, we are counting down less than an hour away from the national championship game. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Yo, Otter, what up?
What's going on, Matthew?
Man, just enjoying a busy day, getting ready for the Natty tonight, man. We'll bid adieu to another college football season. What about you?
Yeah, man, getting ready for the last game of the year. So, it's funny. Indiana was, people were reluctant to back them, the betting public, until the Big Ten championship game. When they won that game, then it was, they started to back them. And then they had to play Alabama. And Alabama was a big public bet. They demolished them in the Rose Bowl. And they backed them big time in the Orange Bowl. They demolished Oregon there. So the odds makers know that they are a public team. And, they finally got some bounce back, some buyback. They got up to 9 at one point earlier this past week, in the middle of the week. And now it's going down to 7.5 just about everywhere. And DraftKings was the last one to move it. They were at 8.5 pretty much all day, and now down to 7.5 just about everybody else now. But the other thing is the key game for Indiana turned the corner as far as that public support was the Ohio State game. And we saw Miami play Ohio State on a neutral month. And, man, Miami didn't look that much different from Indiana in the process. They did not cover their last game against Ole Miss. So I think that's inflating this line a little bit as well. So I look for a competitive game tonight, Matt. I still think it'll be close to 50-50 with the, being played in Miami. And, of course, Indiana's bringing a ton of people just hoping to get tickets along with their 23,000 allotment that they'll give to the schools each. But I expect a very competitive game because Miami's as good, if not better, at the line of scrimmage.
Okay. So you like the Canes and the points. Even if it's at 7.5, you still like it because it's over 7?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. See if there's any boosts or anything out. There's got to be some type of profit boost out there.
You would think on a high volume game like this, that's usually the ones they put it out on. So
yeah. Going to be interesting. Who do you like in the game? You have a pick?
Miami plus 7.5. What do you mean?
I don't mean like against the spread. I mean, what do you think happens in the game itself? I'm not saying about bet. Like,
I think you hold your nose when Beck drops sack straight to pass, and because Mendoza, and he was flawless in that game. He's got more touchdown passes than interceptions in the 2 playoff games. I mean, enough said. But this might be the game where they ask more of him, Matt. I have made a statement that, what they've asked him to do this year, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8, quarterbacks this year could have won the Heisman, behind Indiana because they're so tight in their execution. But it was just where he placed the ball. His accuracy was so good in the Oregon game. I kind of raised my level of respect for him a little bit. We know it's no level of entitlement. All he had was a Yale offer coming out of high school. Took Cal, stepped in last minute. So, he's a safe play there. But early in the game with injuries and first half suspension in the Miami secondary, they may flip the script a little bit and look to pass first and ask Mendoza to take advantage of that matchup a little bit early. That's my biggest concern. I do not think they're just going to be able to run the football like they do so many teams and just pound Miami. I just don't think so.
There is, by the way, a 30% profit boost at DraftKings on any bet on the national championship game.
That's music to my ears.
Go take advantage of it. All right, Otter, where are you tomorrow?
We're at Dozy Place on Government Street in Mid-City.
Awesome, man. Thanks. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, good luck.
All right, thank you, Jimmy. That is Jimmy Yacht. It is after further review. Otter has the Canes with the points. I respectfully disagree. I will not be jumping off the Indiana train. They just keep covering, and I am just going to keep cashing checks, and I'm going to roll with Indiana again. Listen to Jess Sims. Jimmy and I will. Dude, is that's Clinton Portis? Is that Ed Reed with the giant Miami hat on?
Certainly looks like him.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Jess Sims with Ed Reed and Clinton Portis. There you go.
Yeah, sure enough.
That's him. Ed Reed's got such a good beard.
What's he doing? Ed, what are you doing, man?
Vibing.
He's wearing the giant hats or whatever they call them, like the one that Lamar Brown wore whenever he committed to LSU. The big oversized hats.
I dig it.
Ed, what are you? No.
I dig it. Yeah.
They're gonna get their ass beat just for that. Pro Football Hall of Famer, one of the greatest, most hard-hitting, dominant safeties we've ever seen, is wearing a jumbo hat before the net. This ain't no game, ain't no joke. Yeah. Destrehan's fine. What are you doing, Ed? Have a great night. See you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Get on down the road. Remind you about Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Y'all saw the photo that Lane Kiffin posted on his social media with the number one offensive tackle in the portal, Jordan Seaton. It was Lane Kiffin, Jordan Seaton, and Lane's nephew, Cookie, on the field in Tiger Stadium Sunday night. And Lane Kiffin had on an Our Lady of the Lake hat. You better believe he did. Championship health partner of LSU Athletics, so integral to everything LSU does, and vice versa. You know, when you think Our Lady of the Lake, think LSU. When you think LSU, think Our Lady of the Lake. Our Lady of the Lake has done so many incredible NIL deals. You see all throughout football season, Garrett Nussmeier, Jack Pyburn, so many student athletes. Now basketball season, you see Flauget and so many of the wonderful both men's and women's basketball players. You'll start to see more with baseball and softball and gymnastics as we transition into that new season, but also building this 2026 football roster. Championship health partner of LSU Athletics, OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together we roar.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.